When speaking with anyone about the Bible, there's always one question that comes up again and again. Doesn't the Bible condone slavery? Well, yes, actually it does, but probably not in the way you think. See, to be an ancient Hebrew slave was less like being a piece of property and more like being a bonded worker. It was usually a punishment for stealing or a way to pay off debt instead of, well, dying. Kind of like an ancient welfare system. You'd work for 6 years and then you'd be freed, just like that. And if the year of Jubilee rolled around, an event where all slaves were released and debts were wiped away once every 50 years, you'd be free even sooner. Not to mention the Bible had strong words for kings who didn't free their slaves on time. Okay, that's good. But what about if a slave escapes? Well, that's the thing. While other nations of the time had very strict punishments in place for slaves who made a run for it, God's people were explicitly instructed to protect escaped slaves, not recapture them, and treat them well, letting them stay in their homes. And kidnapping people to make new slaves was strictly condemned as a capital crime, meaning there was no slave trade. You couldn't buy or sell people at all, like, say, certain more modern forms of slavery that come to mind when you hear the word. See, the slavery that was practiced by ancient Hebrews was not racially motivated or part of a caste system. It was, in part, a safety net for those in desperate need of one. This is because the Old Testament declares that all people are created in God's image and are to be treated with fairness and compassion. And all throughout Scripture, all throughout history, God is guiding His people closer and closer to a perfect ideal. During the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus repeats the phrase, "You have heard it said, but I say to you," calling His people to a higher standard of living, the uncompromised vision God has always had for His people, not just temporary laws for stubborn hearts. And that's why we have better systems now. But let's not stop there. Let's continue onward to love and honor all made in God's image as He desires us to.